I realized my entire family was broke and fraudulent at the exact moment my wealthy brother-in-law handed my son an unsharpened pencil for graduation. The backyard of my home was packed with relatives enjoying an expensive catered lunch. My son stood by the gift table wearing his cap and gown, smiling politely at aunts and uncles who usually ignored him. Julian approached with a smug grin while my sister Clara followed behind him looking nervous. Julian loved to be the center of attention and always found ways to make others feel small. He reached into his designer jacket with great dramatic flair, announcing loudly that he had brought a very special present. My son Leo looked up with genuine hope because he still wanted to believe the best in his family. Everyone stopped talking to watch the spectacle, including my mother Evelyn, who set down her plate to see the grand gesture. Julian opened his fist to reveal a cheap yellow pencil from an office supply box. He told Leo that a community college education did not require much, so he should save his money for something important. The insult hung in the air for a second before laughter erupted from the nearby tables. My Uncle Thomas slapped his knee in amusement while my cousin Chloe nearly choked on her wine. Leo stood frozen as his fingers tightened around the pencil. My son whispered a polite thank you, but Julian mocked him by cupping his ear and telling the community college boy to speak up. More relatives laughed and someone even applauded the cruel joke. Right then, my phone vibrated in my pocket with an urgent message from my assistant Natalie. The board of directors needed my immediate decision regarding a major commercial loan extension for Julian. His entire business development project faced total default within 3 days. I looked up from the screen to see Julian basking in the attention of the crowd. Leo had quietly walked away from the tables, keeping his emotions hidden to avoid giving them more ammunition. I walked toward Julian slowly with my smartphone held out. The laughter died down as the guests noticed my serious expression. My sister Clara turned pale because she knew I handled commercial lending at the largest bank in the city. I told Julian that his graduation gift was incredibly practical, and then I mentioned that we should discuss his own investments. I held up my screen so he could see the urgent email about his $70 million development loan. The blood completely drained from his face as confusion turned into absolute panic. Julian tried to claim I was bluffing, but his voice shook and lost all of its previous confidence. Clara grabbed his arm and begged him to stop speaking, but the damage was already done. My mother Evelyn asked what was happening, so I explained the situation clearly to the entire crowd. Julian had applied for an extension 6 months ago because his commercial project suffered from severe cost overruns and terrible planning. Julian slammed his fist down and argued that family gatherings were not the place to discuss professional business operations. I reminded him that he was the one who brought business to the party by attacking the future of my son. Leo spoke up from behind me, stating firmly that the pencil joke was not funny at all. Pride swelled in my chest as my son finally found his voice. Julian apologized quickly, claiming it was just a joke and that I could not hold a massive business loan hostage over a silly graduation present. I told him I was simply evaluating risk and assessing his character to see if he was worth the investment. Clara stepped between us and claimed her husband just liked to joke around. I reminded her that Julian had spent 4 years belittling Leo at every holiday dinner. When Leo made the honor roll or won the science fair, Julian always made sure everyone knew it was not good enough. The entire backyard became completely silent as the relatives realized the severity of the situation. My mother whispered that she did not know about the bullying, but I reminded her gently that she had laughed every single time. Just then, the phone of Julian rang loudly with a call from his anxious business partner Arthur. Julian answered with a tight voice, telling Arthur that he could not talk at that moment. I checked my watch and told Julian that the board was waiting for my final recommendation. Julian ground his teeth and asked what I wanted from him. I demanded an apology, so he turned to Leo and muttered that the pencil joke was inappropriate. Leo looked at him and asked why Julian had spent years destroying his confidence. Clara suddenly spoke up, admitting that Julian was deeply jealous of our independent success. Clara confessed that Julian tore down a child because he was terrified of being overshadowed by a real achiever. My phone buzzed again with a final warning from Natalie stating that the board meeting had officially started. I walked inside the house to answer the conference call while Leo followed close behind me. The chairman of the board asked for my professional lending assessment regarding the $70 million extension request. I looked at the cheap pencil in the hand of my son and made my final decision. I told the board that the extension was officially denied due to poor character judgment and high-risk patterns. The board concurred with my assessment, meaning Julian had 72 hours to face complete foreclosure. Leo stared at me in shock as I took the yellow pencil from his hands and snapped it perfectly in half. Clara entered the kitchen with mascara running down her face, announcing that Julian was outside crying because his business partnership was completely ruined. I told her gently that everything he built on bad loans was already failing anyway. Clara nodded and admitted she had ignored the truth for months, before apologizing deeply for not protecting Leo. My son stepped forward and hugged his aunt tightly, showing his incredible kindness. Outside the window, I could hear car doors slamming as the embarrassed relatives left the party early. My mother Evelyn entered the kitchen looking completely confused by the sudden downfall of Julian. Leo looked at her and revealed that he had actually been accepted to Stanford University on a full academic scholarship. Evelyn gasped in realization as she understood how terribly they had treated a truly brilliant young man. My mother left the house without another word, looking much older than she did an hour ago. My phone buzzed with a final message from Natalie confirming that the default paperwork was officially filed. I turned off my phone completely so I could focus entirely on my son. I promised Leo that we would order the best pizza in the city to celebrate his incredible accomplishment properly. As we sat at the kitchen table, Leo showed me his official acceptance letter and talked about his big dreams for the future. I listened to every single word, realizing that character and integrity matter far more than fake praise or conditional family love. Leo threw the broken pencil into the trash can because he would need much more than that for his bright future at Stanford.